Today, I want to welcome a friend, our guest, who's going to talk about Barrie, talk about Toronto's growth. How do we handle it? We have dealt in the last 10 years with many issues. Today, we're going to deal with the overcrowding of Toronto, some solutions. And here's somebody who's really helping find those solutions for us. By the way, if you just tuned in, my name is Banerjei. I'm your host. I'm also a real estate agent, as you know, and your host on Chai with Molly. Thank you for watching. Mark Cohen, welcome to Chai with Molly. Welcome to the show, my
Thank
friend.
you.
This is a high five from here.
Thank
That's
you.
it.
It is an
Can't go
honor.
beyond that.
It is an honor to be here, and I really appreciate it to be with my friend Jake.
Please tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, what you do, who you are, Mark.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I've been marketing new condo developments, designing, marketing, and selling new condo developments and new housing developments in the city of Toronto for 35 years.
So you're in that world for 35 years, Mark.
Really, when it started, the condo business 35 years ago, there was a Tridel and a Bramalea and a Mancus and no one else. Everyone else was building houses.
Wow.
And I worked for two of those companies for 15 years. I worked in-house as opposed to an outside agency, as an outside agent. And then I was fortunate enough to be hired by Concrete 8X, and I sold 20 buildings in downtown Toronto, City Place, where people really started to invest in condos and people started to appreciate living in downtown Toronto, which was very much in the past an American kind of place where people worked and didn't live. People have come to live in downtown Toronto, and I was really fortunate enough to be part of a team at the forefront who developed 8,000 homes down by the railway lands.
So you've seen Toronto grow.
I have.
You've seen the prices grow, the people grow, everything.
I have.
Yeah.
It is amazing. It is, I think, very much a world-class city, and I think it's attracted so many new groups and immigrants and Torontonians alike. And I have seen the city explode. I see a city with 4 or 5 million people that's going to have 10 million people.
10 million people. Where are they going to live?
So that's the question. Where are they going to live? We know the lake is the lake and it's not going to be developed on.
Right here.
It's right here.
Right here. Just so you know, we are downtown. Actually, we are downtown Toronto today. And right behind is that lake and that view that you're going to see. So
exactly.
This is what he's talking about.
Yeah. So the lake is here and the lake's beautiful, but the lake cannot be developed on. So other than what's on the shoreline, the lake prohibits development because it's water. The Oak Ridges moraine to the north has limited the amount of land there is available. So Toronto's become a vertical city, and it's an amazing city, and the condominiums have really been the housing form of choice because housing isn't available because of land shortages and because the costs are prohibitive. So condos are it, and I learned in my I guess in my travels that as much as people love living in Toronto, and I've been here my whole life, people like to get out of Toronto. Over 1.5 million people leave Toronto on a Friday in the summer. 1.5 million people leave Toronto on a Friday in the summer. Whether they're going, to cottage country, Barrie, Orillia, the Muskokas, whether they're going to the Kawarthas in the east, whether they're going to the Niagara region.
Right.
There's a whole world of immigration out of Toronto on weekends. And now in today's world, maybe more than the weekends.
I was going to say on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
So today, actually, just so you know, for those who just tuned in, this is Banerjei and Mark Cohen talking about solutions or the growth of Toronto. Where do we go from here? So the focus, just so you know, today is about the next best thing to Toronto, which actually is going to be Barrie. Let me outline that for you because we want to see how people are finding solutions from a cost perspective and an overcrowding perspective. How many people can you put into one place? There is a limit. So let's take us now to Barrie. I understand that you're working on a project, but first, why Barrie? What's in it for them to understand? Why did we choose Barrie? Mark, please tell our viewers.
I will. And as I said, it was from a professional standpoint, the ability to be part of a team that changes a city's downtown and waterfront is a very rare experience, and I was able to do that in Toronto. And I'm now fortunate enough to do it in Barrie. Why Barrie? Barrie is 45 minutes from Toronto. Barrie is one of Canada's fastest growing cities and has been for a long time. Barrie has the healthiest rental rate and projections in the country. Even, and rents in Toronto, unfortunately, are dropping and dropping and dropping. And in Barrie, they've been increasing and increasing.
So rents are actually increasing a little bit now. So for an investor, this might be something good to know.
Absolutely. And, rents are, on the waterfront in Barrie are in the $4 plus per square foot range. $4 plus per square foot range is probably better than anything in 905 in Toronto and rivals most of what you find in 416. So you have 416 rents. You have 705 pricing, which is less than 905 pricing. And I think, the upside is outstanding. But coming back to Jay's question about Barrie, the commitment from the government and from all sources to gentrify Barrie is outstanding. There's $1 billion by the provincial.
$1 billion.
$1 billion.
Of infrastructure. There's going to be $1 billion of infrastructure. That's huge.
Tell us about it. Which is extraordinary. The provincial government has pledged $1 billion to help gentrify and beautify and improve Barrie's downtown, which happens to be steps from and very much part of their waterfront. It's not at all separated by anything. It's right there. Georgian College, big school, $64 million has been pledged to enhance the school. The school has...
How many students? Yeah.
So the well, I mean, in itself, there's about 3,500 international students from over 65 countries, hence the expansion and the $65 million or $64 million investment towards that. And it's becoming a really important school and significant school, international and otherwise. 210,000 new residents expected to come to Barrie over the next 10 years.
210,000.
So Barrie, which is a city of approximately 200,000 people, should double in the next 10 years.
Now, you've been one of the captains of our industry for condos and buildings and growth. So let me ask you a question. Just so we know that we are watching and hearing from Mark Cohen, who's one of the condo, industry captains who've been in the building for the last 3 decades. What is causing this growth now to go to Barrie? Let's help us to understand that.
Well, I think first of all, it's sort of topical because of what's happened with the pandemic, but healthy living and freedom is very important. People have learned how to work from a mobile perspective.
Yes.
And I personally, I bought a place just at the top of the lake 2 years ago, and it has changed my life. I work better, I work smarter, and I sometimes find that a walk outside and taking a look at nature goes a long way to keep people happy. I also find the recreation, Barrie, Barrie is, there's 15 golf courses within 10 minutes. Casino Rama's 30 minutes away in terms of entertainment. This year, of course, is a quiet year. Skiing is close by. It's the sort of the throat to cottage country. Highway 400, as you get to the top of it, if you stay on it, it'll take you into Collingwood. It'll take you into Lake Rosso, into Lake Joe, into the Muskokas. If you stay north on Highway 11, you come to the city of Orillia, you come to Lake Muskoka, you come to Huntsville, you come to...
So it's very well located.
It's like really dead center.
So,
it's the entryway to cottage country.
Got that. Now, what about industry? What kind of industry do we see, especially with this $1 billion worth of infrastructure going in, that could be seen in the next 3 to 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot there. For starters, the tech sector is booming. And that's always important because that's the wave of the future, and that's where there's money. The interesting thing about Barrie that I liked, when the developer was able to get an approval to build 33-story towers, which is 3 times as large as what was in place.
How many stories? Okay, hear this. This is the first time ever?
First time ever, 32 twin 33-story towers.
So Barrie is going to become like Toronto, and Toronto is really now becoming like Manhattan. What happened over there? So it's going to be a two towers of 33
stories.
stories.
Absolutely.
That's very interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Tell us about
And
that.
that's each of the towers will have approximately 300 suites.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are. I think the magic is that the towers are on all four floors, on all four sides, I should say. You have retail. You have specific curated retail, which you would expect in a master plan downtown community. A central pedestrian sort of area, arcade to walk, and you walk right into, walk through your stores, walk through your shops, walk right down to the water. And I think what's really special about that is that having studied other great cities, other cities where they developed their waterfront, things like Seattle and Portland and parts of the United States, when the waterfront is brought into downtown, there's an automatic value, there's an automatic appreciation in the real estate, and it really very much is part of people living their lives better and sharing their life with nature. Houses are expensive, condos are compact often, although we have a whole range of condos here, but people find instead of sitting in a big large breakfast room, paying maintenance fees or owning a piece of real estate, they go downstairs and they have a coffee and they walk on the water and they do things like that. So Barrie's waterfront lends itself to this kind of development.
And I've seen it,
yeah,
and I've been there.
It's special.
It's very special. Just so you know, I know Barrie because for the last 20 years I've been owning a timeshare just north of that Carriage Hill. So I'm very familiar with the Horseshoe Valley Resort where they have skiing. Right. So that's kind of another reason that this is close to my heart. Just so you know. Yes, great. Good.
So Barrie, a lot of good things. The nature of the development. The fact that it will, in a booming city already, enhance that city and will enhance itself and become, I think, a very special place and a very valuable place to live. The planned population growth, the investment from the government, the investment in the school. Barrie's booming, and it actually has been. And I think also, again, a strong, what I'd almost call bulletproof rental market, which is heading in the right direction. It's really a great place to live. And I've done work in my 35 years in places like Bradford, in places like Alliston to the south. And
Bradford at that time was so inexpensive, and who would think of the Bradford prices today?
Exactly. Like I never would have guessed. Like people would go to Bradford because they could buy houses for $200,000 and $300,000. Now you're spending $1 million to buy big detached houses in Bradford. So Barrie is the closest thing to Toronto, and which has that one factor, the lake. And Lake Simcoe. The other thing I'm going to say about Lake Simcoe. Lake Simcoe is a very prestigious lake. Lake Simcoe is decorated and filled with cottages that are in the $5, $8, $10, $12 million range, in addition to all kinds of other cottages. Lake Simcoe is one of the largest 2 or 3 lakes solely within the province of Ontario. The Great Lakes are larger, but the Great Lakes all fall into other provinces or states in some cases. There are 1 or 2 lakes larger than Lake Simcoe in Ontario, and they're well north of it. So it's a very prestigious lake, very large.
And expensive cottages. So going from $500,000, $800,000, $900,000 to what, $1, $2, several $1 million, if someone, here's some solutions that I hear you saying, talking about what would an average, say, a 1-bedroom and then condo cost in your project? And what's your project called, by the way?
Yeah, so thank you for asking. Very important. So it's the project is called Debut, and the debut has a lot of meaning to it. Debut, of course, a derivative of the French word meaning the opening, something new, something different, and this is very much a debut.
I like that.
So I think someone had that in mind.
Sure.
Debut, although there are large terrace suites and penthouse suites and the types of things you'd expect in a downtown water, the majority of the suites provide that solution that you were talking about, Jay. They provide an entry level, a price point that people can afford and live with. So you're looking at, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. 1 bedrooms in the, $400,000 range, some a little below, some more, and 1-bedroom and dens in the
So
upper
for
fours.
$500,000, even 400,000, someone could potentially purchase a place of their own rather than renting for the rest of their lives and have
Absolutely.
a piece of Canada, a piece of your own real estate. That's been the dream for our viewers rather than renting. This is how you start. This is, most of you watching here could be first-time Canadians, as I was 30 years ago. And in a sense, we all are. This is an opportunity for you to know there is a solution. We want to show you ways and people who are part of that change. And here's an opportunity that you thought you should know about. I really want to thank Mark for coming and sharing that. Before you go, I have one burning question, and I think there will too. What kind of commute opportunities are there from Barrie to Toronto? It's kind of back. I have an idea, but you tell our viewers.
I will. And just on that one point, because I think the most important thing for the viewers is understanding the opportunity and the reasoning for it. It's to help people. It's to make people own, to give them an opportunity to own where they wouldn't, and to have a piece of what makes Canadians special. And we love cottage country. The other thing in that regard, we've made it very friendly with the deposit. That, knowing that it takes time for people to.
That's key.
Very important thing.
I want to just hold it for a second. Not everybody, and I've said this on the show before, is walking around with big money, $100,000 sitting in your pockets. We want you to get there, and you may have it, but it's not always spendable money. That's huge. Tell us about the deposit.
So the deposit, really important, and I think it's also important, to help people who don't have a lot of disposable income, and more so, also to acknowledge where we've come in the world. And, we've been through a historic time.
Have we ever?
We're in, like, Jay and I have talked all along, and it's amazing that this is part of our life now, the pandemic.
Yes.
It's like something I thought I would have learned in history or saw in a movie. And one of the things that's important when providing solutions to people is also making it easier for people to bite into those solutions. So the deposit on a condominium here, fundamentally we're looking for 10% and giving you a year to pay that 10%. So if you buy a $400,000 condo.
Tell us more about it. Break it down. Let's just say someone buys a condo for, I don't know, give me the price point.
So if they buy a condo for $500,000, we'd ask for $25,000, within 30 days. That represents about 5%.
Sure.
We'd ask another 5% over the next 12 months, probably in 2 intervals. We'd ask for 2.5% and 2.5%.
That's not bad.
So 25,000 now, 12,000 later, 12,000 later. That's a year. Then we sort of leave it alone, and then the following year we will ask for another 5%, and then when you move in, another 5%, and move in is summer of 2024. This is 2020. We expect to start building early next year. It'll take 2.5, 3 years to build a building of this size.
Excellent.
So the deposit, really friendly. And coming to your question, part of the beauty of the project is the transit, a transit hub right at the foot of your condo. Literally steps away. Close enough that it's convenient, far enough that it's not right there, but you have, Go Transit, Go Bus Terminal.
Straight to Toronto?
Straight to Toronto, express to Toronto, lots of stops on the way. I mean, your steps from public transportation, and look, I drive up every weekend because my home is just north of there.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
So,
well, I go a few times a year.
I know, and because of COVID, I didn't have you this summer. But,
I know.
But my children allow me to bring my friends because they're not coming. So we will plan that.
Maybe we'll do it together sometime.
Well, that's something we can plan.
Sure,
but it's a very easy commute, and I know the city my whole life. It takes me more than 45 minutes to drive to different parts of Toronto. So convenience, location, accessibility, city on the boom, and I think we really want everyone to be happy and to appreciate it and have an opportunity.
Thank you. So now you've heard it. Toronto, beautiful place, is our home. Challenges, cost, overcrowding. Some solutions, we can go north, south, east, and west. And here we're looking at the north, looking at the Barrie. You found some solutions, and here's someone, our guest, that we're really grateful for, to explain to us how the city has found a solution. People like Mark Cohen, who have helped us to now that we know about this project in the north, not too far in Barrie. This is Jay Banerjei, your real estate host for the last decade on Chai with Molly. Thank you for watching. You know me as your real estate investment portfolio manager. And I know that you're going to have questions. And you've been watching me for years. You've been watching Molly, and I want to thank you for your support. We appreciate that. You do have my number on the screen. You have a question for us. We're here to answer it. Do call, because we would love to hear from you. Click on that screen and don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And I want to thank Mark Cohen for being our guest today, and from the Condo store, and for doing all that you're doing in making our world a better place. Thank you, Mark.
Appreciate it, Jay. Thank you so much.
All right.